I am going to go ahead and get started. Let me just tell you a little bit about the plan for tonight. And since there is only six of us, I am happy to customize as you want. Um, this is the third and final of the Getting Started series that we run every year. And tonight, our main focus is going to be on opening a data set, graphing the data contained therein, and then looking at some statistical analysis of the data. But before we get into Cicada sex education, I'm just going to do a quick overview of creating classes and sharing data sets, if that's all right with everyone. If you have any questions, just feel free to unmute and yell at me or type in chat. And every couple of minutes, I'll tab back and take a look. Hey, Mike, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight. All right, so let's open this up and let's just do a quick tech check. Yes, Nur, I send out a recording to everybody that registered. Is everybody seeing my DataClassroom dashboard at the moment? All right, great. Thanks for the nods. I'm working in the 1980s, and so I have to tab. I can't see when I'm working on the other screen. Don't worry, one day I'll get fancy and I'll get more than one screen, but tonight it's not that night. Hi, Georgia. Thanks for joining us. All right, so DataClassroom, here's our dashboard. Quick overview. When you have a DataClassroom trial that's active or you have a license, you'll be able to create classes. And you do that by clicking the Create Class. If you use Google Classroom, just follow the instructions there. If you'd like to enter manually, type in the name of your class, like such. Type in the description of your class, like such, and enter a password. This gets a little bit tricky. DataClassroom takes student privacy really seriously, and so we never, ever send students emails. And that means we can't verify them, and we can't tell them to change passwords or anything. So you have to set your students' initial password if they've never logged into DataClassroom before. And that's what you do here. So I love data, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that will be their password when they log into DataClassroom for the first time. You can copy and paste your students' email addresses here. That will be their login username. And then you click create and you're all done with classes. And everybody who you created a class for now has a DataClassroom account. The next thing you're going to want to do is to share data sets. So we're going to go up here to the resource library. I'm going to clear my filter and make sure nothing else is open. And you're going to see in this resource library, there's about 176 classroom ready activities and data sets for you and your students to work on. Tonight, we're going to be working on a data set called Cicada. I could try to find that data set by looking at it by subject. I could find the data set by looking at different stats concepts I want to cover. I could even filter by grade level appropriate data sets. But tonight, I'm going to use the free text search and look for Cicada. And the first thing I'll do is I'll just open up a lesson plan for you all to see. That open lesson plan option is only available for teacher accounts. Students won't be able to click on that. It'll have a background. It'll have a suggested activity, procedures for collecting your data, analysis questions with suggested answers that students might use, and then a description of variables and homework with answers. If you want a full answer key, you can request that here or within the app. I'm going to check chat. All right, good. And nobody's yelling at me. That's always pleasant. Now that we've looked at the lesson plan, we're going to open the data set. The reason I choose Cicada Sex Education for these types of demos is simply because it has several variables, both of the numeric kind and the categorical kind, which enables us to make different types of graphs and run different types of analysis. When you open up a data set, you can 100% customize it for your students. For example, if you would like to give your students only sex and head width, no other variables, you just select these variables and then delete them. I won't delete them tonight to save time, but you can delete as many variables as you like to simplify the data set for your students. The student assignment is under the attachments tab. We'll click on that right now. And this is an embedded Google Doc, so it's 100% customizable. You just simply click edit. I need to save a copy before I do. Click edit. And it will open up the Google Doc. Hopefully. There we go. The Google Doc looks like this. Here you can make any changes you want for our webinar tonight. You could add videos if you want to put in a hook or some other information. You can take all of the questions that we've made and you can delete them. You can add your own. You can do whatever you like to it. And just like a Google Doc, it saves automatically. And when we come back to our data set, we'll click reload and we'll see those edits that I've made will appear here now. I don't know if I would be sad or happy if the internet went down. I'd be sad, I think. I might try closing this and we might come back to it. But once you have your variables and your assignment exactly as you would like it, then you can share your data set. And we do that by clicking on the hamburger menu in the top left and clicking share. And here you can share with any classes that you've created by, let's say, just clicking view. It's this view and edit option is a bit like Google Docs in that if you want students to work on their own copy, you only want to share view with them. If you want to work synchronously on the same copy, then you'll give them edit privileges. You can also choose to create a link, a shareable link. Same thing, a link for viewing and a link for editing. And then copy this and put it into your LMS. And students will get the data set in exactly the format that it was when you shared it. I'm going to try one more time real quick. Let's see if we can get it. There we go. All right, so you can see now it's updated the assignment in Data Classroom with those edits we made in the Google Doc. All right, I'm going to pause there before we get into graphing and just see if there are any questions. Yes, Nur, I'll in the email that I send out with this recording, I'll give you a link to where you can get all of our past webinars. They're all on our webpage there. No worries at all. All right. Any other questions? We kind of just quickly hit creating classes, finding data sets, editing data sets, and sharing data sets. All right, we are going to move on, even though my boss tells me I never wait long enough in the awkward silence. That's a personal flaw, and I'll work on that, but not so much tonight. All right, so here we are. We've got our table of data. This table should look familiar, a little bit like Google Sheets or Excel, except you'll notice that the data is formatted in a really particular way. All of the variables have their own column, and all of the rows are an observation of those variables. This is called tidy data. It's sometimes called long format data, and it's a very commonly used data format for scientists analyzing data with SAS or SPSS, R, any of the kind of scientific data analysis tools. And it also really reinforces students thinking in terms of variables and observations. So that's why it's formatted this way, and it's going to help us when we move over to the Graph tab. We'll see that our variables are listed across the top here. I am just going to start clicking, and you'll notice as I click Show on my variables, the first couple will appear as a graph, and then the rest will start to populate this variable control panel on the right. And you'll temp, altitude, and latitude. Now that I have all of my variables displayed and selected, I'm going to give myself just a bit more screen space and hide those variables up there. If I ever need to come back to them, just click on that and come back to them that way. All right. So when I started adding the variables, the first two I added was sex and head width, and Data Classroom went ahead and graphed those for me. I can very easily take those off and start somewhere else. If I want to take a look at, say, head width using rectangular based graphs, I put head width on X, and then I just click on the rectangular based graphs here. And I can take a look at the different head widths that were observed and measured. As I build graphs, Data Classroom gives me different options that will be useful. So because I'm in rectangular based graphs and I have a numeric variable, it's asking me if I want to show normal distribution. So I can click there and show the normal distribution. I can also test for normality right from here if I like. If I don't know what normal distribution is, I can simply hover over the question mark, and it will give me, in as few words as we could come up with, a little bit about normal distribution. You can also see it has an option for descriptive stats. For example, if I wanted to look at mean and standard deviation, or mean and 95 confidence interval, I can do that here as well. I can look at the values. I can put those values on the graph if I choose. I can add notes, but I don't. And if ever, if I want to switch views, I want to take a look at dot-based graphing here, it's going to keep those options selected for me. So it kept descriptive stats, it kept mean based and 95 confidence interval. And if it's possible, it will keep your choices across graph types. You'll notice that there are a lot of dots here. And that's because we found that when students are learning about data and they're visualizing data, it really helps them understand the variance in data when they see raw data points like this here. It helps them get a good grasp on the variation that the data is telling them about. I'm going to go ahead and put head width on Y and sex on X, because this is kind of the core question that this data set is asking. It's asking, well, let me ask you a question. In your heads, think about what question is this graph answering? And I'm going to pop back over to the chat and see that nobody's yelling at me.
So aren't we trying to figure out if there is a relationship between head width and sex?
Yep. So thank you for speaking up. Really appreciate that. You're absolutely right. So
I've been in your position before.
well, you have my condolences and my thanks. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So as we make graphs, we're asking questions. And as we ask questions, there are going to be particular types of graphs that answer it. And in this case, we have the head widths of female and male cicadas. And the question we're asking, is there a difference? Is there a difference between these two groups? And we can, let's take a look at maybe, let's take a look at standard that we get a little, the visual test as we look at this graph tells us that there is some difference, right? We can see that the mean for males is just below 8, and the mean for females is just below 8.5. So visually, we're seeing a difference between these. And the raw data points back that up. Like the highest male doesn't reach the top of the female, even the outliers there. And the lowest female is not reaching the bottom of our male population, our male head widths. And so we can also look at values. We can say, all right, the mean for females is 8.3. The mean for males is 7.9. We can copy that table over to our homework or our journaling notebook or whatever we're using. We can also take this graph along with that table and put it into whatever program we like. And so DataClassroom really encourages a visual analysis of your data as you're exploring your question, as you're exploring the story in the data. But it doesn't have to stop there. If, we found the means of both groups, we think that visually they are different, but we'd like to go a little further and run an analysis, do some math, and see if there's a statistical difference. Well, right up here is the bell icon with a magnifying glass and a P in the center. That is our graph-driven hypothesis test. And when I click on that, DataClassroom, and I'm just going to click Show Advanced Options, which is available in all of your accounts now. DataClassroom runs a variety of statistical tests, but because of our graph, which is a categorical on X of 2 values and a numeric on Y, DataClassroom says, hey, you're probably wanting to run a t-test. And that's why this t-test is highlighted. So I'm going to click Calculate, and we get a little pop-up that's telling us about the t-test, why we use it, when we use it, and how it works. And when we're done learning about the t-test, we can click calculate, we can run the analysis, and DataClassroom will give us the degrees of freedom, the statistics test, the p-value, and enable us to copy that to our clipboard and paste it wherever we like. Now, for students first running statistical tests or in an intro to statistics class, they might not know what p means. They know that small p-values are better, but they don't know what p actually means. So we have a little explainer here. And this explainer allows them to drag the p-value along the p number line, which is 0 to 1. And they can see, hey, if I get a p-value of 1, it's just random. There's no difference between these groups because it's random. But as I drop down, I can see the text changing to maybe there's some indication the groups might be different. There's some confidence the groups might be different. There's strong confidence, and then there's extremely strong confidence. The students see that it's kind of a scale value that P is. All right, so we've made our first graph, and we've run our first statistical test, and I'm going to pop over and look at the chat. Yes, I will send the recordings to everybody who registered, and it's no problem that you're late at all. Any other questions? All right, I am going. Oh, wait, I'm going to count to 5 in my head. All right, that's enough. Okay, so you're beginning, I hope, to see how easy it is to explore a data set like this. And just to give you some indication, we're just going to go down these variables here. So right now we have sex on X. Let's put species group on X. All right. So now we're looking at not just the difference in head widths between sex, but now we're looking at the difference in head widths between species group as a whole. What about head widths and annual temp? Do I like that graph or should I flip it? Nope, I like the first one better. And so I change it back. Altitude and head width. Does that have any effect? Nope, I don't like that graph. I like that one better. And what about latitude? Let's try that. Nope, don't like that one. Like it better. But just to show you how easy it is to view data in different ways and to explore the story from different angles and different variables, all around kind of the core variable of head width here. So let's go back to species group and let's take a look at this graph. This graph isn't kind of comparing two groups. It's now comparing 3 groups. And when we do that, our statistical test is going to be different. We click our statistical test and we see now that because we have more than 2 values, categorical values on X, DataClassroom saying, hey, you're probably going to want to run an ANOVA. And if we click calculate, it'll tell us again, why are we using an ANOVA? When should we use it and how it works in as few words as possible. We'll click calculate and DataClassroom will run that. And if we'd like to run post hoc tests, we can click to run post hoc tests and get all of the different statistical tests for all the groups against each other. All right. Let's take a look then at another type. So here is 2 numerics. We've got a numeric on X and a numeric on Y. This is annual temp. And you'll notice a difference up here. There's an option here that didn't exist when we were in species group. And that's the line of best fit. the regression line. So if we click there, we can get our regression line. We can see that the R squared value is positive. We can visually see that there seems to be positive relationship between head width and annual temp. The warmer it is, the bigger the cicada's head. The colder it is, the smaller the cicada's head. And we can run a linear regression. Again, find out what a linear regression even is. Calculate, and we are done. We can again see our p-value here is quite strong. And I'm going to pause again and look. No questions in the chats. Any questions verbally? All right, so we have kind of one more graph type that we're going to look at, and it's when we put 3 variables into the graph panel. So we'll go back to our species group here. We'll notice that regression line disappears. And we're going to not just look at our species groups as a whole, but we're going to look at them broken down by sex. And we do that by putting this categorical variable on the z-axis here. We can see males in blue, females in red again. We kind of visually see a lot of reds appearing at the top of each group. But to get more clarity, we are going to group these data by Z, and that splits them out next to each other. So we can see in the decim group here, there doesn't seem to be as much difference as over here in the decula, which you can see quite a large difference visually. But also you can see that most of the cicadas that were observed were decim. So let's take a look at our descriptive stats and see if that holds up. We can see, let's look at our values here. So here we get our decim male and female. It's around a 0.4. Our Cassini female and male, again, around a 0.4, maybe almost 0.5. But then our decula male and female, we're looking at 0.7. All right. And if we run that stats test, we're going to be told, hey, it's a 2-way because we now have 3 variables we're measuring, 2 categorical and a numeric. What is a 2-way ANOVA? Run it, and we get our stats table here telling us about the interactions between each of those groups and the differences in males and females. We get our p-values again. We can run our post hoc test if we so choose, and copy that into our journal or our homework, as well, of course, as this graph. All right, so we have gone over making a few different graphs, and we have looked at running stats tests for each of the graphs and questions that we're asking, as well as exploring the data story visually as much as possible. Any questions? Right. I want to show you a chart that I didn't see until a couple of years ago. And I really wish I'd seen this chart when I was in the classroom and in grad school. And let me know, can I make that bigger for you all, or is that clear? Are you able to see that?
Bigger would probably help a little bit.
Let me see. Thank you. Let me see. That's not what I want. I want to. go here and zoom. Nope. Maybe if I do this.
So, hey,
Yep.
we're on the same brain wavelength, obviously. I downloaded this article today, so I just put it in the chat.
Oh,
The 2014 article.
yep. That's 2014.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat.
Hey, thanks so much. All right. So what this chart is showing us is how the questions we ask reduce the graphs we make and the statistical analysis we can run, so that it's not all a black box of like, I have no idea what to choose. If I'm looking at comparisons, I'm going to be making bar graphs. And if I'm comparing two groups, then I'm going to be running t-tests. If I'm asking for correlation, then I'm probably looking at scatter plots to display my answer. And if I'm running scatter plots, then I'm probably running a linear regression. So this chart and that article, that article really simplifies and streamlines our thinking about questions and stats. Because I took 5 semesters, I think, of stats in grad school. And at the end of 5 semesters, if you had shown me that head width and sex graph, I couldn't have told you the stats test I was going to run for the life of me. All right. And that's not a hit on the school I went to. It's more a hit on me. But I hope that this chart helps you as you teach data literacy in kind of simplifying and breaking out the black box that is the stats test. And a lot of people are concerned that DataClassroom is using AI when it gives you the stats suggestion for the stats test. We're not. We're using a flow chart that looks very similar to this chart in front of you. And it's just because when you make a graph, you have predetermined what stats tests are available for you to run. Now, Chris, before you start cursing me out, there are parametric and non-parametric variations of stats tests. So it's not just one graph, one stat test, but in general, it simplifies it a great deal. I'm going to go back here, and the very last thing that we are going to look at, let me make this more simple. We'll go back to our original question and visualization of, is the head width between male and female cicadas statistically different? Now, you might not like, and you shouldn't like in many ways, the default way that this is shared. So you can go to appearance. You can change how your scatter plot looks. So we can reduce the point size, like so. We can reduce the width, so it kind of meshes together. Make it a little bigger. If you are so inclined, you can change the way each point looks. For example, since we're dealing with cicadas, we can put flies in there. That happens to give me the heebie-jeebies. So I'm going to go back to dots, and we can change the colors of these. I'm going to bring back here. We're going to look at this menu under our species group. Nope. Under our sex. There we go. And we can choose what colors that we want to put in there. If we don't like blue for boys and red for girls, we can do something like this. DataClassroom will also let you choose from color scales. So we can change the color scale. This mostly applies when you have more than 2, but there are a myriad of different ways that you can customize your graph. You can also change the title. Where's the general settings? There they are. You can add captions. You can change the title size, the caption size, the legend width here. And again, here's another way that you can pick your categorical color scales as well. So there's lots of different ways to customize the way that your graphs look, to make them your own and kind of show off your data chromatically. Hopefully that's a real word and appropriately used, and not just with the default settings that come with every data set. All right, folks, if there's any questions I can answer, or if you would like to see any other features, or like to see another feature again, please let me know. I will stay here as long as you want. But that concludes our graphing and statistical exploration of the Cicada sex education data set. And I am going to try to download this article. Whew. Sweet.
Thanks, Nigel. Appreciate it.
Hey, no worries, Mike. Thanks for showing up. It's a great background, by the way.
Thank you.
No worries.
Okay, can I ask another question?
Yeah,
Oh,
of course.
You go ahead. I'll wait.
Oh, no, you go ahead first, because my question is about more not necessarily using a data classroom in this particular case, but more other things like the whole entire package and so on. So I'll wait. Okay.
So did I see that? I thought I saw somewhere where you had R and SPSS on here.
Sure. Yep. So we have, let's just go and we'll run this right here. So you can try it in R and try it in Python.
Okay, that's
Yep.
what I thought.
These are features that are available in the university version. Well, so it's going to tell me that I don't have access. Now, as a teacher, I'm going to give you, we'll discard. As a teacher, when you have a teacher account, you can go to your profile and you'll see here that I have my grade level set as middle and high school. I can change it to college.
Gotcha.
So if you have a data set that you would like to run in R or Python, let's bring this up again. You just click try it in R. And so what this is doing is it's generating the R code and annotating it to make that graph that you see. So let's go ahead and run this right here. And right now it's actually running in our studio. And so you can see that graph that's made. Now, it's not always going to be a perfect replication, but it's going to get you really close. And because of the annotation, you're going to easily be able to change whatever you want visually to make sense. The reason that exists at the university version is just because many students are working their way towards R professionally. And so it's kind of, we call it a bridge to R because it just kind of helps them get on their way.
Yeah, that's just it's really cool. This is great. What y'all have is fantastic. And I work with future science teachers, and I'm just really struggling with moving them from conceptually moving them from collecting data, having kids collect data outside to do the baby data sets, to actually then visualize those data in a Google, in a something, in an Excel. And so that's where I've used your materials for a couple years now, and they're so good. But I think that's what I think that this is kind of my missing link of what I can use to help them, but then also something they would then take with them because it's so user friendly now. It's user friendly, and So anyway, so thank you. I really appreciate what all I learned tonight.
Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, we really try hard to move the cognitive load off of learning a program
Right.
and onto answering data questions.
You've done it. This is really good.
Okay, thank you. And also saying thank you for Georgia. You actually asked us one of my question, because I teach in research students, and my students are high school students, but then they are doing their own independent research projects. So I have them for 2.5 years, basically almost 3 years, starting as a sophomore. So my curriculum in the fall is teaching them how to read the primary journal articles and how to like write a little mini review, how to make proposal. But then the spring term is the time I'm going to teach them the statistic, the data analysis, and get them to think about data. So I've been like, I used to use data nugget, and then that's one of the questions I want to ask you about. And then I used a few cases of your data classroom, but that's a while ago. I haven't been seeing the new version, or I think you guys keep changing and like improving it. This is impressive. And so my question, one, that you mentioned about this, you can, as a teacher, I could change between the high school, middle school, high school, and up to college. Can my students do that? Can I set it up as a college so they can graduate from using this more like, pre-packaged style to learn the R code and Python? Because that's what they need when they start doing independent study. Yeah.
Yep. So the research classes in New York, Mingping, is, I think, half of our customer base. We have so many schools in New York and New York City who use DataClassroom. And New York research classes are, so far, I think, the only customers that ask for their students to have the college version as well. And we're happy to do that. Yeah. That's no worries at all. Can I ask what school you're with, Mingping?
Stuyvesant. Do you have any customer? I don't think so. From my school.
I don't think we do.
Exactly.
It's beginning to surprise me when we meet new schools in New York. There's so many up there that use DataClassroom for their research courses.
Yeah. So I think, my next question is about the pricing, right? And then in your like a chart, you said it's like for the teachers, one teacher, it's about like $600 a year, but I can include all my students, right?
That's correct.
Okay, that's great. And so all 3 grades, if they want to use it, and I just give you a long roster, you just plug them all in.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
That's great. And then the second question is, I see that you said they can upload and share new data sets. And so what does that mean? I can upload? Can students upload?
No, probably, in your case, what you're going to be doing the most is importing data. And your students will simply click import data, and they'll fetch it from a Google Sheet. If they're using that to collect data, they can upload it from their computer as Excel or CSV if they're using those to collect their data, or they can just copy and paste it directly in here.
Okay.
But that's, I think that when Aaron first started building DataClassroom, he mostly had in mind that students would be doing labs and entering their own data. And the classroom-ready lessons came later.
Okay, yeah, that sounds wonderful. So last question, because the reason I circle back to the data classroom is like one simple reason. I just love the way the graph shows up on your platform. My student tried all sorts of things, and the Python, I have to say, secretly, the Python graphs, I hate it. It really is not appealing. not appealing at all. And these kids at the end, they have to write a research paper, and I want the graph to be like a really high quality. And you talk about like if it's a paid account, it can be a like high quality, right, graph. But are they allowed to use the graph they generated through the data classroom to put on their research paper and enter competition?
Yes. So
Okay.
New York is so competitive in the science fair. Um, I go up every year to talk to the WESF Science Fair and
Yeah.
help judge those folks. ICEF, there's always a ton. I think if you walk the halls of ICEF, you will guarantee see a default data classroom graph, which makes us happy and sad at the same time. We're like, customize it a little bit, customize it. But yes, absolutely, data classroom makes publication ready graphs.
Okay, that's wonderful. And so, my last question is like, how do I set up the account with you guys?
Yeah, you have my. Let me go ahead and put my email. You could reach out to me there.
Yes.
I can also, shoot an email to you tomorrow morning.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. And I always stop my question because this become like very specific. But thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. There we go.
Yeah, and I'll do the same. I'll follow up with an email because I just want to know what would be an appropriate use. Would it be appropriate I have 10 students who will be becoming they're in their last year. They're in their of student. They'll become science teachers. Would it be appropriate use for me to have them go through one of these so that they could see how it works? And again, I can follow up with an email to ask you that.
What school are you at, Georgia?
University of Georgia.
Okay, so University of Georgia is a customer.
Oh,
Yeah, but I think currently only in the biology and ecology
that would make sense.
departments. But yeah, so we could help you out in a ton of different ways.
Okay.
We teach whole classes. I think just recently finished a Georgia Southern 10-week course on data for non-data majors. So there's lots of things we could do to help out, and in any way we can.
Okay, cool. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Lovely to meet you. Lovely to meet you too, Meng Ping. And Michael, I will send out that recording as soon as I can.
One more question, because I know like last year when we first started, we met privately. If let's say I just wanted like a refresher, or if like I wanted you to maybe come for the students because I have them in 40-minute blocks, you could, if we schedule, be able to do that and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. No
Yeah.
worries at all.
Yeah, I definitely liked it last year, but I feel like I didn't learn it enough, so I want to become more and more, but there's just so many things going on. Like you just mentioned Regeneron at my students' applications are like due the 6th, then we have LICEF, NICEF. So, but this is still super important. So thank you though. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Just reach out to me and we'll get on your schedule.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
Great. Yeah. I'm the same. Like barely keep my head above water for those STS paper. Yeah, so that's great. Yeah, I know. Like I'm surprised. I'm the first one probably or constantly come back to the data classroom from my school. I don't know what's going on, but no questions about those people. Yeah. And so it's great. And so I would just email you and then we can get in touch. And then since I missed a part of it, I guess what I want to do is I would just try to make a trial account and try to go through the resources you have. And then I heard Michael said are you open to like a set up a one-on-one sort of tutorial once I become your customer?
Yep.
Okay, that sounds awesome. All right, so then I need to like secure some funding first from my school, but then it shouldn't be a problem, and I will just circle back very soon. But email me. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Lovely to meet you.
Joe. Bye.